Hello, I'm Eric Snodgrass, and thank you for watching today's midday Western U.S. regional forecast video brought to you by Nutrien Ag Solutions. I want to begin by taking a look back at the last couple of weeks here in terms of temperature anomalies, which is differences from normal. And that flow pattern we were in May, which featured this deeper trough out west, has really taken our temperature anomalies and put them on the cooler side. You can see here throughout much of the southwest, we've seen temperatures anywhere between 4 and 10 degrees cooler than average, while the northwest, which at times saw some split flow, did pick up some very valuable growing degree day units. The question is, what's the pattern doing? Is it flattening out? Is it changing as we transition and move forward into this end of spring time period and into our summer? Well, certainly that pattern made things very wet. And I just want to show you this. This is looking at the percent of normal precipitation throughout the month of May. And I only made this map go up to 500%. So anywhere you see color on this map, it's above 100% of normal. When we look at this, though, some parts of California here, parts of Nevada, Utah, and parts of northern Arizona. Now remember, we're in desert area here, but still saw almost 600% of normal precipitation. And that excess precipitation, as we've been discussing, did cause some problems in the Central Valley at times, where picking up a couple of inches of rain at the exact wrong time has really damaged some of the crops in that area. Over the last 72 hours, it's mostly been topographically induced precipitation. So we've still had this deeper trough feature that's sitting here, specifically over the southwest. And so we've seen some circulation around it here. Some rain that got into parts of the San Joaquin Valley down here, but overall this was mostly just a mountain-induced thunderstorm kind of event, except for when you get over into parts of New Mexico here, where we have seen some spectacular thunderstorms that have blown up there in New Mexico. Some local flash flooding, some hail reports, some strong wind reports, and tornado reports in the last few days, but that's really been a result of the fact that we're still kind of tucked away in that western trough pattern. Now, as we move forward, much of the southwest, so I'm specifically talking about California, Nevada, and Arizona, we're going high and dry. You can see here, just looking out over the next week, at where the precipitation is coming in. When we look toward the northwest, and again, we'll talk about New Mexico in just a second, but look at the northwest. This could be what they call $1 million rain, all right? And what I'm talking about here is, as we're progressing here toward the end of this winter wheat crop, this rain that comes in right here at the beginning and middle of June can just push that crop right over the top with yields. And so we're going to watch that. This getting close to like the Palouse area, part of the Columbia Basin, but some of this is tucked away in the Blue Mountains, I do know, but that could be important. Much of the rest of the Columbia Basin, so I'm talking about Yakima, and through here, this is really going to be a drier time period. So as the flow pattern changes, and you can see the direction it's going here, we're really not getting too much in the way of precipitation really at all in the northwest either. That is until you get over into parts of Montana. I'll tell you about what's going on here in just a few moments with this broader trough sweeping through. We'll also take a look at the timing of that. But down here in the southwest, in California, things are very dry. And they're also very hot. So remember we talked about in the last video where we're going to be watching those temperatures? Well, let me just show you some model output here from the National Digital Forecast Database. So we're going to be looking at high temperatures each day throughout the week, and you're looking here at the day on Tuesday. So you can see throughout the Central Valley, temperatures creeping up into the middle 90s and some locations into the upper 90s. Well, as I click play on this, that's going to go fast. It always does. But watch this. This is the day on getting into Wednesday. We're seeing high temperatures here now hitting triple digits, and that's going to be really extending up here to almost the Fresno area and points to the south of there, triple digits in Central Valley. Things do calm down a little bit as we get into the next day. So this was in the day on Thursday. Still some above 95 degrees down here in the southern part of the San Joaquin Valley, but we cool down in the Sacramento Valley and points to the north. But then let's see if the temperatures kind of resurge here. So this is, again, the high temperatures on Friday, so cool down coming. But you can see the models bringing back in some heat by the time we get into Sunday here and then into Monday. So we're going to be seeing these high temperatures just briefly here the middle of this week, which we talked about in our update last Friday. But I wanted to kind of zoom in on California and kind of show you what was going on there. But before we kind of do much more than that, let's get bigger picture. We see that over the next 5 days, that's the map that's over here on the left, that parts of the northwest have a bit of a cool down. That's because we're watching a deeper trough sweep through this area. Now, because of that, a ridge builds in the middle part of the country at Montana. We're going to see some warmth out of this. Outside of that, there's a tropical disturbance, could be called Barry, that's sitting down here in the Bay of Campeche that does move up into parts of Texas. And this is going to kind of phase in with a trough trough feature that's still sitting right over here, keeping the weather very unsettled for parts of New Mexico and western Texas, which is why you see those cooler temperatures. As we progress into the 6 to 10 day time period, we again start to bring back in the pattern that's going to keep much of the western United States, especially right in through this area and to the west, warmer than average. And so you kind of saw that. We had the warm up that was happening in the next couple of days in California, then a cool down, but then this is now the 6 to 10 day time period where we warm back up. And then even as we look out to the 11 to 15 day time period, the flow pattern is going to be doing something more like this. And that ridging that we are going to be seeing developing out west is going to get us back on higher temperatures and rapid accumulation of growing degree day units. So we need to take a closer look at what this pattern is doing so we can understand what this means in the Northwest for the first cuttings of hay and what this means again in terms of temperature and precipitation in that same region. Okay, this trough right here is where it is going to be in 5 days. Well, right now it's sitting right here. And as it slides over in this direction, it's going to phase in with a tropical feature coming up like this. Now, as this trough, the one I'm pointing to right here, is moving across New Mexico, we're going to be watching for storms blowing up New Mexico, western Texas, Panhandle region, and getting into Colorado. With time, though, and what we've got over here on the right is day 10, you see we settle back into that pattern that looks something like this. So this is the return of warmth that we were discussing here along the western part of the United States. So it's a bit of a complicated pattern at first, and then we get into this warmer pattern. But in the Northwest, let's go back over to the day 5 map, which is over here on the left. This is the trough that sweeps through this week, keeping things cool. This is what brings in the rain over to parts of Idaho, Montana, and Wyoming. But you can see the ridge that's following this is going to give your warm-up coming back through. So that is kind of the main pattern flow through the next 10 days. And just to show you how things look by the time we get to mid-June, we're going to watch this trough to develop here on the Aleutian Islands because it could lead to a bit of a split flow pattern here across the Pacific, Northwest and the West Coast of the United States. But we do lose a lot of our forecastability due to the fact the pattern's really flattening out here. So it'll be kind of a thing where we're going to have to keep a close eye on the short-range forecast to see how things really evolve. Now, I told you unsettled weather in parts of New Mexico today especially. You can see that we still have this region over here under a slight risk, and then we can see extending to the north here, marginal risk for some strong to severe storms. So that's the day on Tuesday. Wednesday, again, we're watching that same corridor there. So if you're in that region in New Mexico, we're talking about some heavier rain still coming out of some of these storms. Meanwhile, on the backside of this, we do see just a general risk for thunderstorms. And then as that trough sweeps through, again, this is valid for the day on Thursday. As that trough sweeps through Idaho, Montana, we could be on the lookout here for some stronger thunderstorms. So that's kind of our thunderstorm risk. Looking first at our high-resolution rapid refresh model, what we're going to be watching for here again is showers and storms to erupt in New Mexico. We're also going to see some widespread scattered showers and storms throughout the mountains and some showers that are coming into parts of the coastal regions of Washington here. So as we kind of play this over, let me get rid of those drawings so you can see the picture a little clearer here. Here we go. This is getting through midday on Tuesday into Tuesday night, Wednesday morning. We're watching again the scattered showers and storms blowing up right in through this area, which you just saw. But I told you there's that short wave that's here. Remember, these waves have a counterclockwise flow to them. As that moves over toward New Mexico, you're going to see the pattern circulate with it. So see the storms will open, then you see there it is, the counterclockwise circulation right there at the end. That is the trough that's sweeping through, that's going to phase with this big plume of moisture coming out of the Bay of Campeche that's going to hit the southeast pretty hard. So that's our short-term forecast. Now, as we stretch this out, what I want to focus in on here is the timing of some of the precipitation in the Pacific Northwest, okay? So as we click play, we're going to be watching for the short wave to be sneaking in. This is now Wednesday afternoon, so you can see the moisture moving into British Columbia and into coastal Washington and Oregon. But as we get into the day on Thursday, right there, this will be the rainfall that I'll be watching very carefully right in through this area, right in through here, that could hit some very productive wheat fields, which would be just this beautiful rain right before harvest. One of the problems, though, with some of this rain is that it could come in at right around the time we're trying to do first cutting on some of the hay fields in and around the Columbia Basin and parts of Idaho. And as this presses through, you can see the deeper trough feature in here, bringing widely scattered showers and storms throughout the day on Friday into parts of Idaho and Montana. This is all high elevation snow here, high elevation snow, but still spreading quite a bit of precipitation into this corridor. Outside of that, things are back dry again. So this is really just one big push. I'm stepping back in time here again. One big push here toward the middle and end of this week for some precipitation in the Pacific Northwest. So just want to kind of give you some of the details on that as it kind of slides through here. To finish up, let me just kind of give a hint as what I'm going to be talking about in the longer range video. What I've got you out here looking at, this is all the way out to the end of June. When I start to see this pattern, I got to watch this carefully, because we may, like I said, get back into that split flow. And if this ridge really builds into this corridor, this brings in some of the heat into the western United States. That could allow the monsoon to open up, but it's also a thing that we watch, because as that heat comes in, cranks up evapotranspiration rates, we start to dry out, and the threat becomes wildfires. So got a lot to be talking about as we progress into the month of June and July here. But we'll keep you updated all the time here at my.nutrienagsolutions.com. And we at Nutrien, thank you for watching. Hope you look forward to all of our forecast videos that are coming out this week. Have a great week. We'll talk to you again soon. Thank you.